You're looking at a building that was it's the home for a congregation that, while it was not this building that stood on this site in the first years, it was a wooden chapel that William Losey came to in the late 1790s. You're looking at the building of a congregation that was, this is our new building for those that don't know it. This is the new one. This one was built in 1880. And this is the third building on this site. A stone chapel followed the wooden chapel, which was followed by this brick chapel. And okay, so a church is having an anniversary, big deal. I want you to stop and think about this anniversary. 226 years. So we have to go back in time, 2 queens and 7 kings. There's not many organizations on this side of the Atlantic that can say that they span the reigns of 2 queens and 7 kings. Especially when two of those queens reigned for 60 years each. That's a lot of history, folks. Let's put it in perspective. In 1784, a party of 50 families gathered on the shores of what was called Cataraqui, meaning rocks rising from the waters, and established a community that would be known as Kingston. 8 years later, they erected the first chapel on this site, having worshipped in homes before that. Families that came, believe it or not, as refugees, escaping persecution in the country to the south. They came to a place where they established a community with the aid of their allies, the First Nations people here, who enabled them to get through those first winters and years. The Algonquins and the Mohawks. And from that raised a community that is a pretty good place to live. A place where peace and tranquility have been pretty much the societal norms of this community, albeit whatever stresses and upheavals people might have felt in their personal lives. A community and a church community that has witnessed and serviced the people of this area with worship and hope and faith for 226 years, rising out of political differences, cultural differences. Michael Grass, the leader of the party, wasn't even British. He was from the Alsace region of France, the German-speaking area of France that at the time was a part of France, still is, but had historically been one of the German counties. He spoke German and French, and English was his third language. That he mixed with Irish and Scots and Poles and Swiss and Germans to create a community. A community that's as diverse as it is deep. And a community that is as faithful as those first disciples. A community that has witnessed and worshipped for 226 years, no matter what the economy, no matter what the numbers, no matter what the trauma in society is. And I say that to you because this is your foundation. A foundation that rests supremely on the gospel of Jesus Christ and the lives of the people who carried it forward to here. Allowing us to carry it forward to how many places do we take it to? How many children will receive mittens, hats, and scarves, and have received them over the years from here? How many people on the shores of Hudson's Bay are finding hope through programs run by people like Doris? How many children and families have found hope in other countries through the Many Hands projects? And these are the things that are just in the last decade. We have 26 other decades to talk about what has been done by this congregation. How many people fed, housed, clothed through difficult times? How many people who came in and found a place to pray? A community where they could connect. A place where they walked away with a sense of hope. Yes, there have been times when things have been divisive. Yes, there have been times when things have been hurtful. And always underneath it all is that one commandment that has guided and directed congregations like this for centuries. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. But the greatest commandment is that you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. And at the heart of this, the reason we can celebrate a rainbow picture over top of this building is that that rainbow speaks of that first rainbow that was presented after the flood, when God said, I will destroy them no more, and he gave hope. A hope that was realized in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and a hope that has continued to emanate from congregations like this, and specifically from this congregation for 226 years. You're 125 years older than the country of Canada. That's saying a lot. But you have a faith. And I want you to know that we need to carry it forward. So I want to present you with a new image beyond the bricks and mortar of this congregation. Because we're a people. And it's the people that really we celebrate. While the pictures of the building, you'll notice all the stones in the cemetery in the foreground, which represent all the people who have come before us, who have worshipped and witnessed. People make the church, and how we gather together really matters. So I want to give you a new image for the church, if I may, and if my technology works. But I think this is really appropriate to be heard on this day.
Is there anything quite like a campfire? The community that's built there by people sharing their stories and singing their songs is truly special and so intimate. It's like being 10 years of age again and sharing all your secrets with your best friend. And that openness and vulnerability is exactly what we should see in the greatest community on earth, the church. There are no walls out here, and there should be no walls of defense towards God or each other, even if we have been hurt. That's why we chose to record a worship album around a campfire. We wanted something really intimate and truly authentic. And anyway, worship isn't just confined to the four walls of a church building. And it's certainly not exclusive, but it's for every human being on this planet. In the kingdom of God, there are no outsiders. We need to be careful not to allow hurt or cynicism to drive us from church. Otherwise, we end up like a branch taken from the fire, lifeless and cold. I know the pain we experience in life can be overwhelming, but we aren't meant to go through it alone. All of us have the divine spark within us, and we so desperately need the breath of God to bring us to life and light. Jesus wants to set the church on fire so the world can warm themselves around us and find light and safety. We are here on earth to be a home and a refuge for the lost and broken. But first, we must learn the art of togetherness and celebration. To welcome people into the party of true freedom found in Jesus, we first must be students of that very way of life. We need to learn to celebrate. We need to choose His joy. We are the church. We are the hope on earth.
We are your church. Oh, and we are the hope on earth. Come on, church. Build your kingdom here. Let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand. Heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire. In this nation back. Change the atmosphere. Build your kingdom here. Oh, we pray. Change the atmosphere. Build your kingdom here.
To be on a journey as God's family, going through the highs and lows of life, suffering and laughing together, that's what I want. Not some holy huddle where we all pretend everything is okay, but a real community who believes in the God of miracles, but also in the God of the trials. That's what the world needs too. So let's give out the invites, put aside our selfish ways, and celebrate Jesus round the campfire. It's time for you to start your fire.
I like the image of the campfire, but it is when we connect together, person to person, working together in faith to connect people into the heat and light of God's love. May Cataraqui continue to be a blessing in this world. In Jesus Christ. Amen.